Hello everyone, it's Cassie from WCDPL coming to you with another fun STEAM demonstration video. Now STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. But in this case, STEAM also stands for STEAM. We are going to be doing an experiment today that tells us all about the water cycle and how water evaporates and condenses. This is an experiment that you can do at home. You would need the following items: a big glass bowl like this one, a smaller glass bowl that can sit inside of your big glass bowl without reaching the same height. You will need cling wrap, big enough to go over the top of your bowl, some salt, food coloring, ice cubes. I have these fun little plastic ice cubes, but you can just use any regular ice cube, and hot water. This for me is an electric tea kettle. I heated this water to boiling and now I'm going to pour it into my bowl. So you need to make sure that if you're doing this at home, you have a grown-up to help you with this part so that you don't get hurt with your very hot water. So you want the water to be hot enough that you see steam coming up off the top. I'm going to pour it into my glass bowl. You want to fill your bowl about a quarter of the way full, but you don't want so much water that it will go into your small bowl when you put the bowl in here. So this still needs to be higher than the amount of water in your bowl, and I think we should be good. To our water in here, just so we can see things a little bit better, we're going to add a few drops of food coloring and a little bit of salt. And then I'm going to gently swirl the water in my bowl. You can use a spoon or a whisk just to make all the elements combine. And I'm going to do this until my water is a nice even blue color and I can't see the salts anymore, so I know that it has fully dissolved in my water. All right, I think we're good. Oh, and I can feel the heat from the water through the bowl. So now we're going to take our smaller bowl, and this bowl is empty. There's nothing in it, and it's also dry inside. So there's no water in this bowl at all. And you want to make sure when you put this bowl into the bigger bowl that you make sure no water gets inside. And it looks like I have enough water in here that my little bowl is actually floating, which is kind of cool. Once you have your small bowl inside your larger bowl, you're going to take your cling wrap and put it over the top. And this is to trap all of that heat from your hot water and all of the steam from your hot water so that it can't escape into the air around you. So I'm going to make sure that this is sealed off nice and tight. And then I'm going to take my ice cubes and I'm going to put them right here on the top. And I'm going to kind of arrange them so that they're right over my small bowl. Basically, we're going to try and make it rain inside this bowl. Once you have all of this set up, the next thing you have to do is wait for about 10 minutes. So I've got a timer here. I'm gonna hit start. And here we go. Time to wait. While we're waiting, let me explain to you what it is we're trying to make happen. Now, you may have watched a video earlier this week where Miss Maria read this book called Fairy Science, which is all about the water cycle. And in the back of this book is a page that outlines how you can do this experiment. So basically, water is made up of two different elements, hydrogen and oxygen. You may have heard people call water H2O. That means that for every molecule of water, there are two hydrogen atoms, H2, and one oxygen atom, O. And hydrogen and oxygen really like to bond together. Water like most substances in the world, can exist in 3 different states: a solid, a liquid, and a gas. We can see water as a solid when it's frozen as ice. It exists as a liquid at room temperature in most conditions on Earth. And when we introduce heat to water, it turns into steam or water vapor, which is its gaseous form. So basically, to turn a liquid to a gas, introducing heat weakens the bonds between those molecules. And as they break apart, that's when they turn into gas. And that's the steam that you see. And it's what happens when we introduce water, which is everywhere, to heat. So these are the 3 forms that water exists in: solid, liquid, and gas. And I know pretty well how to get liquid to a solid or solid to a liquid, and I know how to get liquid to a gas. But it's a lot harder to figure out a way to make the gas turn back into a liquid. Because the thing with gas is it expands and it's hard to get it to come back together. So what we've done here with our cling wrap and our bowl is we're keeping the heat and the steam and the water vapor contained so that it can't disperse into the atmosphere around us. By keeping it contained here and by putting our ice, which is a cold element, we're convincing those hydrogen molecules and oxygen molecules to bind back together. This happens in the real world too. So water is basically everywhere. You can find it in ponds and lakes and streams and rivers, but you can also find it just in the dirt or in grass or on a tree. Everything's made up of water. Everything's got water inside of it. And when we introduce heat to it, that water starts to evaporate. So when the sun comes out on a sunny day and it hits the earth, water starts to evaporate, turn into water vapor. And as it rises into the air, it hits that layer of atmosphere where it starts to get cold, convincing those hydrogen and oxygen atoms to bind back together. They collect in clouds up in the atmosphere. And then when the clouds become saturated, so they're full of as much water as they can hold, then it starts to rain. That's condensation, and it comes down and the water cycle repeats. So that's how we see water in real life go from a liquid to a gas and back to a liquid again. So the hope is that this experiment will recreate that, and that when I take that little bowl out, I'm gonna have some water in there. But for now, we still have to wait. 10 minutes. All right. So let's see if it worked. I'm gonna take my ice cubes off. Oh, and some things definitely happened because these are not as solid as they were when I started. So there is a lot more liquid water inside my plastic ice cubes than solid water, which means that some things happened to melt that ice a little. All right, I'm going to use my phone now as a secondary camera because I want to be able to show you close up some of the important things that are happening. So here we go. This is the inside of the bowl, this plastic wrap. I don't know if you can see right here. That is water on our cling wrap that I can make move around a little bit. So I'm going to put my phone up here and I'm going to undo the cling wrap very carefully. Now I want to show you, you see here along the edges of the bowl, that is water, that is condensation. We didn't have that before, right? The edges of the bowl were dry. And I can see it here on the little bowl too on the outside. But what I want to know is, do we have water inside our small bowl? So I'm gonna lift it out. And to make sure that we don't confuse the water dripping from the bottom with any water that might be inside the bowl, I'm going to really carefully dry off this bowl so that the only water it has is anything that has rained inside of it. The bowl is very warm too, so I can definitely feel that heat transfer. All right, and let's look here. Can you see that? Do you see that water moving back and forth? We did it, we made it rain. Let's see if on the big camera you can see I'm gonna pour it out into my hand. And here's something very interesting about this water in my hand. It is not blue like this water we dyed. It's clear. But we definitely made it rain. Not a lot, but enough to show that this is how the water cycle works. It starts as a liquid. We introduced heat from our electric kettle. The heat caused some of the liquid water to turn into water vapor. We trapped that water vapor with our cling wrap. We put ice cubes on the top just to speed up the condensation process. They're not necessary, but if we want to be able to do this experiment in 10 minutes instead of like an hour, they help the process. And then all of that condensation that collected on the cling wrap fell down into our bowl that was dry before and then had water in it. And that, my friends, is the water cycle. We have so many fun STEAM activities planned for you this spring. And so we hope that you keep checking in to see what new videos are posted and see what STEAM activities you can follow along with at home. If you haven't signed up for Bunny's Book Club, full steam ahead, please do so at www.readsquared.com. And we will see you at the library, hopefully very soon. Bye, friends.